Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Energy Flow Yoga, our Yoga 101 Beginner's Yoga. We're trying to convince my brother to do it with us, but he's resistant, to say the least. If you don't already know me, my name's Ashley. I'm the yogi next door. Check out my new swag, Energy Flow Yoga. Beautiful Christmas presents for my mom. So awesome. I came on just a minute or two early just so everyone can get logged in. If you're on a computer, go ahead and send a chat over. Good morning. Yoga 101. This is everything a beginner needs to know to practice yoga. So I'm so happy that you're here today. I'm so happy that you're making time for your body and your mind and prioritizing your health. Guilt trip. Just kidding. A positive guilt trip, I might say. So,
Come on, Andrew.
I don't think he's feeling it really this morning. He has to go drive all the way to Atlanta after this. So he's like, okay, I'm trying to get in a rush. All right. So good morning, everyone. Welcome. Again, this is Yoga 101. My name is Ashley. I'm so happy that you're all here. I just want to double check because earlier this week I made a mistake on my website and I want to double check that everything is. No, I can check it here. Thank you, though. Make sure everything's ship-shop shape. Shippity-ship shape. Yep.
Oh, Andrew, we got glitter on the yoga
Yay,
mat.
there it is. Awesome. All right. So it looks like we're all set up. It looks like we're coming over live. Oops, stuff's falling over. Kind of changed the angle a little this morning. Maybe we want to go there now. If he's not going to join us.
Okay.
What do you think?
Sideways?
Or either sideways or facing me, your choice.
Yeah, good.
Yogi's choice.
Yogi's choice. Always yogi's choice.
Yeah. See, Andrew, look, you would barely be in view. All right, because we kind of changed sides of the living room this time because I want to be able to actually face her so that I can give like specific directions if need be. All right. Well, let me flip to my right page. Welcome, everyone. So happy that you're here. And let's get started. So let's come to our mat. Usually we always start a yoga class in a seated position. That's kind of the most common way to start. So let's start in our easy pose, our cross-legged seat. It's kind of fun looking at you. I don't know if we're going to be able to not giggle, though.
There are no promises.
We're going to try our best to be serious.
Yoga doesn't
not serious, but
right.
Focused. All right, so we're in our nice, comfy, seated position. Take a moment, letting your hands rest on your lap. Let your eyes come closed. Just begin noticing your breath. Notice when you inhale, and notice when you exhale. Start at the very top of your head, and slowly, with each breath, move your attention all the way down your body. Notice if you have any areas of discomfort, tightness, soreness. Hopefully not any pain, but if you have any pain. And if you think of these things and wonder, I wonder if yoga could help me feel better. I wonder if yoga could help this, low back feel better or my arms feel better. Send a message over in the chat and we'll try to incorporate some things into our practice today. Again, drawing the attention to the breath. Maybe it's starting to slow down a little bit now that we're resting here nice and peacefully. Noticing your inhale grow a little longer. And your exhale grows a little bit longer. Today we'll be incorporating a very important part of yoga, and that's called our Ujjayi breathing. So this is one of our most common not necessarily most simple, but one of the most common yogic breaths that we use in yoga, and you'll definitely hear it commonly used in most yoga classes, in most vinyasa classes, I should say. So we're inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose with that constriction at the back of your throat. It's kind of like you're fogging up a mirror right underneath your nostrils. Creates that loud ocean-like, wave-like sound in your breath. It helps you draw your attention to your breath and draw your attention inward as we continue moving. And it also helps heat your body up from the inside out. If you're in a cold place like us, and a chilly winter morning can be useful. Your next inhale, blink open your eyes and hinge forward, coming onto your knees and hands. This is our all fours position, also referred to as our tabletop position. So center your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. Take a moment here, maybe rocking side to side, back and forth, finding that balance in all 4 points. Our back is nice and long, flat table. Now engaging our Hasta Bandha. This is our special hand placement that protects us throughout practice. Lift your fingers, spread them really wide, and then press evenly through your knuckles. Slight tuck in on your thumb like you're unscrewing a pickle jar. Our kind of aim for our middle fingers to be parallel here, so we don't want our hands splayed out or splayed or pigeon-toed in.
Pigeon-fingered in.
Pigeon-fingered in. But keeping our middle fingers parallel with one another. That can help protect our wrists throughout practice today, and also helps us provide a little more balance when we're using our hands for balance. Now moving to one of our other most common, our very first, I guess I could say, incorporations of breath and movement are cat-cow positions. So on your next inhale, drop your belly down to the earth as your tailbone and crown reach up to the sky. Laura's a sleepy cow this morning.
Yes, she is.
Tailbone and crown reach up, really letting your belly drop down to the floor. And as you exhale, curl up through your spine, slight tuck in the chin. Tailbone and crown reach down, coming to cat pose. Inhale, begin to move to cow. Exhale to cat. And continue with your own breath here, continuing to engage that Ujjayi breathing. Your last exhale here. Your next inhale, rise back to a neutral spine. Give it a little wiggle, a little shake, maybe bending side to side, stretching your tailbone and hips to each other on the side plane. Now coming back to center, let's do some barrel rolls. So dropping your hips and your head simultaneously, and then curling, opening them wide. Moving with your own breath, your own pace. Wherever you're at, you can pause and then go the other direction. Then meet me back in a neutral spine. Fix your microphone if you're using a microphone. Just kidding. All right, hopefully we'll stay on the side here. Meeting us back in a neutral spine. Go ahead and spread your knees a little bit wider than hip distance. Bring your big toes to touch. And exhale, slowly sit back onto your heels. This is child's pose. And this is our most common, I would say, our most restful, potentially, resting pose. Now, this is the perfect space to come anytime during our practice where you need a rest. If you start to kind of lose your breath, lose concentration,
Just need a moment to regroup, recenter. You can come to this pose at any time. Your arms can remain outstretched like we have now, or you can even draw your arms back alongside your feet to make it a little bit more restorative, a little bit more relaxing. And you can come here anytime during practice where you need a little break and a little reprieve. And rest for a few breaths, getting recentered with your Ujjayi breathing. And then when you feel ready, join us back in our practice. Your next inhale, stretch your arms out long. If they're not already, rise all the way back to all fours. And we're going to move through our spinal balance. So this is a great way to start our activation in our abs this morning, and as well as our arms and our legs. On your next inhale, step your right toes back so that your right leg is fully extended, balancing on the ball of your foot. Inhale, left arm comes forward, thumb up, pinky down. Perfect. You can stay, you can stay right here, or you can cheat. I'm just kidding. There's no such thing as cheating in yoga. You can stay right here with your toes on the floor, or for a challenge, lift them up a few inches here. Really focusing on the engagement in your core. Keep a slight tuck in your chin, keeping your neck nice and long, a natural extension of your spine. One big inhale here, foot and hand really pulling in opposite directions. Exhale, curl elbow and knee underneath the body to meet. Inhale, extend. Exhale, curl. Inhale, high. Exhale, curling under. Inhale, lengthening one last time. Exhale, hand and knee come down to the mat. Give it a little wiggle. Loosening out through your wrists maybe. And then on your next inhale, step the left toes back and the right arm forward. You can stay right here, balancing with your toes on the floor, or a little bit of a challenge. Lift the back feet up a few inches. You might notice this leg feels different, or is more difficult to balance, or easier to balance maybe. Flexing the toes in toward the face, really press out through the bottom of the heel. One big inhale here. Exhale, curling under, just like we did on the first side. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, curl, feeling your spine moving into that cat-like position that we took just a few minutes ago. Exhale, curl one final time. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, hand and foot come down to the mat. Give it a little wiggle, a little shake. Stretching out your wrists maybe. Coming back onto your heels, we can do a little wrist stretch here. Bring the backs of your hands onto the floor, and then maybe lean forward slightly. Sit back slightly, just kind of moving very slow and gentle, massaging through the backs of our wrists. Come back to sit on your heels.
Christmas glitter.
Christmas glitter, watch out. I had to move all of our presents and stuff out of the living room before we started. All right, coming back onto your heels. This is Virasana's pose. You can sit with your heels under your sitting bones or to the outside of your legs. Depends on what's more comfortable for your natural hip position. So wherever you're at in Virasana's pose, and if this is not comfortable on your knees, you can always place a pillow between your upper and lower legs for more support. That will feel really good. And you can also just come to easy pose if it's more comfortable for you. So doing a little wrist stretch here, bring our hands into prayer position at heart center. So this is our central position with our hands that helps us find better balance, helps us find our center of gravity a little bit easier in balancing poses. And it also helps engage our arms ever so slightly because we have this gentle isometric engagement of our hands pressing into one another. So we're resting here for just a moment. Close your eyes. Return to that Ujjayi breathing if you've lost it. Noticing your inhale and your exhale. Blink open your eyes. Doing our little wrist massages here. Your hands are here at heart center. Go ahead and just begin rolling them over, bringing the backs to touch. And then roll the fingers down toward your chest, all the way out toward the front of the room. And then just continue this rolling. And really there's no wrong way to roll here. It's just whatever feels good to you. Rolling up. You can even
bring your hands back to touch, and then roll the other way. Feels a little bit different. Kind of different, but the same at the same time. So just doing these movements here, kind of massaging through our wrists. And we are engaging our Hasta Bandha, that hand placement. But if you ever do feel sensitivity or stress in your wrist, this is a nice little movements that we can do to help our wrists be a little more comfortable. Oh, hi, public speaker. Good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. I know I haven't been posting regularly on YouTube. On my website now. All right, so we're resting here. And now we can let our hands come down to our knees and move forward with our practice. Inhaling back to our tabletop position, moving forward to, no, I don't want to intimidate you, moving forward to plank pose. So you did not scoff. You love plank pose. I know it.
Getting better.
You're getting better. All right, so we're going to tuck under our toes, press the legs up and back, rising up to plank. Our body is like a plank, hence the name. We're just one long piece of wood floating here in space, being supported by our strong arms pressed strongly into the floor, creating space between your shoulder blades. Now, if this is ever too strenuous, you can simply lower your knees down, release your feet. This is kneeling plank. And this is always a good option to come to if you're feeling too strenuous, that maybe you're losing your track of your breath or you're losing concentration. This is still a great engagement in our upper body and abs, just a little bit less strenuous if you have wrist or shoulder or elbow or arm injuries of any kind. Take one more inhale here in plank. Exhale, press your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Now in downward facing dog, our hands remain in that shoulder width position. Our middle fingers are still parallel. Maybe take a moment looking at your hands and just notice if they're maybe splaying out or turning in. We want them to be nice and parallel with one another, right directly coming out from our shoulders. Let your head relax, your gaze come back between your feet. Now bring your attention to your hip bone or to your sitting bones. Those bones right at the bottom of our butt. We're stretching our hip bones up to the air, stretching our sitting bones, shining up to the ceiling. Now we really want our back nice and long here. So we're not cricking or pinching through the neck. We're letting our head hang nice and heavy, gaze back between the feet. We're letting our arms support our upper body, stretching long, giving a nice release through our shoulders here. And our back is nice and long, tailbone all the way up to the sky. Now, if you notice some rounding in your back, if your legs are really tight, your hamstrings are really tight, your back might be rounded, go ahead and bend your knees slightly, and that will allow your hips to more fully rotate forward. Take a big inhale here. Begin to rock your dog, bending one knee deeply and then the other. Press one heel to the mat and then the other, gently waking up the muscles in the backs of your legs. Reconnect with your Ujjayi breathing if you've lost it. Find stillness in the pose. On your next inhale, lift your right leg up to the sky. I can stay parallel just for a moment, keeping your hips square with one another, maybe drawing that knee slightly down if you lifted it up a little too high. Let's twist our ankle over in one direction and then the other. On your next inhale, keep that leg moving high up into the sky. We're stacking the hips now, opening our hips to the side of the room. Now, this is very strenuous. You can stay right here and maybe bend the knee, drawing the heel down toward your glute, really opening through the hips here. Draw your attention back to your upper body. Notice if your chest is opening out, draw your chest square again to the mat. One more inhale, leg high. Exhale, leg down to the mat. Go ahead and bring your knees down for a moment. Sit back on your heels in child's pose, getting a little rest in your shoulders. We're in downward facing dog for quite a bit of time, explaining how our positioning is, and it's normal for your shoulders to feel tired, for your arms to feel tired. Take 2 full breaths here.
next inhale, gently rising back to all fours. Find that hand placement. That's also important to protect our wrists. Tuck under the toes and send the hips up and back, rising back to downward facing dog. Again, finding that square balance in our feet coming down from our hips, hands reaching out from our shoulders. On your next inhale, lift up our left leg. Again, keeping the hips square here at first, keeping our leg pretty much parallel with the floor. Go ahead and twist your ankle over in one direction and then the other, giving a nice stretch in our ankle joint before we get moving too quickly. On your next inhale, keep that foot tracing up to the sky, opening through the hips. Now you can stay right there with your leg extended, or maybe even bend the knee, drawing your heel down towards your glute. This is our half scorpion. Really opening up through the hips here, stretching deeply. Draw your attention to your chest. Notice if you're opening through the chest or if your arms are square. One more inhale here, lengthening high back to our three-legged dog. And then exhale, foot comes down to downward facing dog. Take a big inhale, rise onto your toes. Exhale, bend the knees, bringing the shins parallel to the mat. Look forward between your hands. And then just begin to take a few small steps, coming all the way forward to the front of your mat, releasing all the way down. Bring your feet hip distance wide. Now, notice when I say hip distance, men usually bring their feet all the way out here, and sometimes women do too, but men especially tend to think their hips are wider than they are. So really, a good way to measure is just to take your two fists side by side and simply place them in between your feet. That's coming straight down from your hips, and we want our feet to be parallel here. Go ahead and bend your knees really deeply. I don't know why the music just stopped. That was weird. Oh, maybe we got to the, oops. Sorry, guys. We got to the end of the thing. All right, sorry, bend your knees really deeply, letting your belly come to rest on your thighs or maybe even in between your thighs. Maybe use your hands to kind of squish your belly down. Bending your knees really deeply here. Grasp opposite elbows and then just gently rock side to side. This is our ragdoll pose. So really notice your torso kind of relaxing really heavily over your legs, like a lifeless ragdoll, really, is what we're going for. Let your head hang really heavy from the end of your spine. You nod your head yes, and shake your head no, encouraging those muscles to just release. Re-engage your Ujjayi breathing. Release your hands down to the mat. Heel toe your feet to touch. So our big toes are touching, heels slightly apart. Bend your knees deeply here, and then sweep your arms up and around, rising all the way up to our upward salute. Hands are facing one another. Maybe gaze up at the ceiling. Maybe gaze all the way up at your hands. Big inhale. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Take a moment, close your eyes here. Finding balance between all 4 points of the feet, maybe rocking side to side or back and forth. So when we refer to the 4 points of balance in our feet, we're referring to the inner side of our ball, the outside of the ball of the foot, the inner heel, and the outer heel. Because our heel is actually kind of a nubby, two-pointed bone like this.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. And you can kind of feel it when you rock a little bit. So taking a moment here, reconnecting with your Ujjayi breath. Doing another body scan, starting at the very top of your head. Moving all the way down to the tips of your toes. Notice how your body is feeling differently now than when we started. We've already been focusing on our breath. We've already definitely been warming up our arms, our shoulders, our upper body, our core, our legs, our hips are opening already. So we're doing a lot of movements that you might not do on a regular basis. And just notice how your body might be feeling differently.
Your next inhale, blink open your eyes, sweep your arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold all the way down to the feet. This is our Uttanasana forward fold. Bend your knees here as much as you need for your hands to rest on the ground comfortably. You don't want to strain through your hamstrings unnecessarily here. We don't want to put any strain on our hamstrings. On your next inhale, press your feet into the ground actively. Rise up halfway using your core. Draw your belly button into the spine. Hands can rest on the floor if you're very flexible, or maybe against your shins or even your thighs. Keep your chin tucked in slightly, a long, natural elongation of the spine. Exhale, release, forward fold. Plant the hands, step one foot back and then the other, coming back to our plank pose or phalakasana. Re-engage that hand placement, making sure we're protecting our wrists throughout practice today. One big inhale here at the top. Exhale, lower your knees down, then your chest, then your chin, releasing all the way down to the mat. Let your forehead come down. Hands are pressing alongside the chest. Engage through your legs, really actively pressing through the tops of our feet here. Inhale, lift the chest up to the front of the room, pulling the shoulders down away from the ears. And we're really pulling ourselves up, lifting ourselves up with our core muscles. We're not pressing into our hands. So take a moment, challenge yourself on your next inhale. Lift your hands a little bit off the ground. See if you can rise up still. Maybe if you sink down, that's something to notice. One more big inhale. Exhale, gently lower down to the mat. Take a full breath here. So that's our baby cobra pose. And that's part of our vinyasa, our flow that we move through, I should say, in between different sections of our class. On your next inhale, tuck under your toes, press yourself all the way up to plank pose. Yes, you just did a push-up, but it wasn't that horrible. Exhale, press your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Arms are stretching really long here. Inhale, rise into your toes. Exhale, bend the knees, look forward, and step to the front of our mat. So that was our sun salutation. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. And we're going to run through it again, this time a little bit faster. Inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, open the arms to cactus arms, maybe jutting your hips forward slightly, slight back bend. Inhale, high. Exhale, all the way down to the floor. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step back to plank. Inhaling at the top. Exhale, lower down, knees, chest, and chin. Release to the floor. Inhale, baby cobra, reaching the chest forward. Exhale, tuck under the toes, press up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, onto the toes. Exhale, bend the knees. Listen carefully. Step forward like before, or lift through your pelvic floor and hop to the front of the mat. Nice.
Almost made it.
That was good. That was really good. And release, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold, release. Inhale, bend the knees, sweep the arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Now we're adding on this time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Listen carefully. Toes are touching here, heels slightly apart. Bend your knees really deeply. Send the hips back. Sweep the arms up as you inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. So this is called chair pose because it looks like we're going to plop down and sit into a chair. Weight is in our heels here. Look down, you should be able to see your toes. If you can't, send your hips back a little bit further. And then really focus on opening your chest up to the front of the room. Working with the natural curvature of our spine, a slight tuck in the tailbone, protecting through our low back. And like Laura's demonstrating beautifully, if your shoulders are a little too tense reaching up, you can always draw your hands down to that safe position we discussed, our heart center. Take a big inhale here. Maybe sink a little bit lower into your legs, really challenging your muscles this morning. Exhale, release down, forward fold. Give it a little wiggle, maybe bending one knee slightly and then the other. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step back to plank. And let's flow through our vinyasa. On your exhale, lower down, knees, chest, and chin. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, press up and back, downward facing dog. Take a big inhale here. Exhale, let out a sigh. Big inhale. Exhale, let out a sigh. Go ahead and take a moment, let your knees come down to the mat. Maybe sit back onto your heels. Just to give a little recap of what we've just covered. So we just started practicing our sun A, our sun salutation A. That's our flowing from standing basically to down and then back up again. So that is kind of the perfect way for a warm-up in our yoga class, and you'll find it commonly part of your yoga class. So perfect for beginners to know and advanced yogis alike. Now, flowing through our vinyasa is what we just kind of came through, but just to recap, as we flow through our vinyasa, you're starting in plank pose. You exhale, lower down. Inhale, stretch your chest forward. And exhale, up and back to downward facing dog. So that's kind of our, I would say it's both the beginning and end of our circle of yoga, because we're flowing from one pose to the next with each breath. With each inhale and exhale, we're changing from one movement to the next. That's vinyasa. That's our flow of vinyasa practice. So we kind of, we could just keep going from one pose to the next, and it's just like one big long line, but yoga is really more of a circle. So this kind of little flow, which we call the vinyasa, is our kind of cap to know that you're done with this section and now you're moving forward into the next section, or you're done with this side and now you're moving forward into the next side. Does that make sense? I know you already know, but
it makes sense because then when you did the right leg for everything,
right,
you do the flow, and then
left's coming up, exactly. And then you kind of, once you've done one side, and then you kind of know, and some things are both sides at once,
right?
But a lot of things are kind of, you do kind of one side and then the other side, which we're going to demonstrate right now. So now that I've explained a little bit, excuse me, go ahead and rise back forward, tuck under your toes, and send the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Taking a big breath in here, and exhale, let it out. On your next inhale, reach the right leg up to the sky. Exhale, look forward between your hands, and then take as many steps as you need to step that right foot in between the hands. And coming to your standard runner's lunge, you might remember from track in high school, or not, but you might have seen it before. All right, so we're here in our lunge, and we're going to rise up. But first, we need to lower our left heel down to the mat. Press strongly through your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms up, Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. So our front knee is a strong 90-degree angle. Our back leg is fully extended, pressing all the way through the pinky edge of the foot. Now, Warrior 1, we want our hips to be square. So go ahead and bring your hands to your hips for a moment. And notice if your left hip is a lot further back. That's normal. Take a moment, heel toe your right foot a few inches to the right. Draw the right hip back, left hip forward, really bringing your hips square. Yeah, that looks really good. And then inhale, extend your arms again alongside your head. Now, again, if your arms are ever tired, you can always bring them to a prayer position. Remember, that's our safe position for our hands. Our front toes are forward, back toes are either directly to the side of the mat or kind of forward slightly, about a 45-degree angle. Take one more big inhale here. Exhale, hands come down to frame the foot. Step back to plank, and let's flow through our vinyasa. Lower down, knees, chest, and chin. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, press up and back, downward facing dog. Big inhale here. And exhale. Return to your Ujjayi breath. On your next inhale, I bet you guys know what we're going to do. Lift our left leg up to the sky. As you exhale, look forward, take as many steps as you need
Stepping that left leg forward. On your inhale, drop the right heel down to the mat. Press through the feet. Use the rebound of the earth's energy to rise up. Arms extending to the sky. Really good. That's so good.
So do you.
Oh,
You're a good teacher.
thank you. So,
I'm trying to copy you.
yeah. All right, so our front leg is a strong 90-degree angle. Back leg is fully extended, pressing through the pinky edge of the foot. Again, draw your hands down to your hips for just a moment. Maybe heel toe the left toes out to the left. Sinking lower into the hips. Right hip comes forward. Left hip comes back. Inhale, reach the arms up. Chest is square. Legs are square. And then a slight turn into your pinkies here. So your hands are, yeah, that looks really good. So the slight rotation in our shoulders. One more inhale. Exhale, hands come down to frame the foot. Step back to plank, and let's flow in our vinyasa. Lower down, knees, chest and chin. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, press up and back, downward facing dog. Big inhale here. And exhale. On your next inhale, rise into your toes. Exhale, bend your knees so your legs are parallel. Look forward and step, or lift through your pelvic floor and hop to the front of the mat. Release, forward fold.
I was more like a frog, but
That's good. Frogs are good at hopping, so you're imitating a good animal. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, sweep the arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms high. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Listen carefully on your next inhale. Bend the knees deeply, send the hips back. Sweep the arms up, Utkatasana, chair pose. Sitting nice and low into our hips. And if you're like, how is she sitting that low? This is still chair pose. This is still legit chair pose, guys. You don't have to be
my shoulder.
all the way down to the floor. Focusing on opening high through your chest and sitting low with your hips. Inhale, maybe your arms are still high. On your exhale, draw them into heart center. Take a big inhale. Look right, and then twist right, bringing your elbow onto the outside of your right knee, opening your chest up to the right side of the room. Now, bring your attention for a moment back to your knees. If you notice your left knee really jutting out in front of the right, draw them back. That's normal. Draw them back, really squeezing them into one another. One more big inhale. Maybe open your arms, maybe looking up at the ceiling. Exhale, release, forward fold. Oh man, that's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
My legs are shaking a little bit. All right, heel toe the feet back to hip distance. Coming to our big toe pull. Use your peace fingers, our two first fingers, and the thumb to wrap around your big toe. Big inhale here as you extend through the spine. Exhale, bend the elbows, drawing your belly and your torso down to your legs. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, folding forward. Bend your knees as much as you need here. You don't want to overstretch your hamstrings. Just getting a nice release in our low back and maybe our legs as well. Release your hands, heel toe the feet back to touch. On your next inhale, bend the knees deeply, sweep the hips and arms, coming to Utkatasana. Big inhale here. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Inhale, lengthening through the spine. Exhale, look left and twist left. Hello.
Hello.
Elbow coming onto the outside of our left knee. Weight is back in our heels still. Again, drawing the attention to the knees. If you notice your knees popping out, really squeeze them together. You can also bring the elbow in the middle of the knees instead of on the outside for a little less deep of a twist. Maybe on your next inhale, opening the arms open. That didn't make sense. Redundant. And then exhale, release, forward, forward, fold. Give a little wiggle to your legs. Our muscles are deeply engaged here. This is a really great job, guys. I know it's not easy. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bring the feet heel toe them to hip distance again, coming to gorilla pose. place the backs of your hands on the floor and then slide your palm under the bottom of your foot one at a time. Gently rocking forward and back, massaging through our wrists. This is another great stretch in your wrists, like the ones that we did in the beginning of class. Release your hands, heel toe the feet back to touch. Inhale, half lift, engaging through the core. Exhale, hands come down to frame the feet. Step back to plank pose. And let's flow in our vinyasa. Lower down, knees, chest and chin. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, press up and back, downward facing dog. Take a big inhale here. And exhale, let out a sigh. On your next inhale, returning to our Ujjayi breathing. Inhale, right leg up to the sky. Exhale, look forward, step it through. Now you guys know part of this already. On your next inhale, drop your back heel to the floor. Press through your feet as you rise up, warrior one. Big inhale here at the top. And if you fall, that's okay. Shake it off and come back. Exhale, opening the chest and the hips to the long side of the mat. Coming to warrior two. Gaze reaches out over the right fingers. Get the hair and Christmas decorations out of your mouth. We have glitter everywhere and tissue paper chunks. So our legs are in the same position here. The difference is that our hips are now open to the side of the room. If you look down for just a moment, check if your heel is aligned with your heel, your front heel is aligned with the back heel, or the front heel is aligned with the back arch of your foot. That's the position you want your feet to be in. Again, our front knee is deeply bent. Her back leg is fully extended through the pinky edge of the foot, arms open to a T, gaze out over the right fingers. Take one more big inhale here. Exhale, sink a little bit lower. Inhale, flip the right hand to the ceiling, reach forward, and then up and back, coming to reverse warrior, like we're high-fiving that back wall with our right hand. Left hand can slide down the leg or tuck under our back. As you inhale, really feel your ribs expanding in your right side. Exhale, hands come all the way down, framing the foot. Step back to plank, and let's flow in our vinyasa. Lower down, knees, chest, and chin. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, press up and back, downward facing dog. Big inhale here. Exhale, let out a sigh. Let's do that again. Big inhale. Let out a sigh. Return to your Ujjayi breath. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, look forward, step it through. On your next inhale, right heel drops down, press strongly through your feet, rising up, warrior one. Big inhale here at the top. Exhale, opening through your chest and your hips, coming to warrior two. Gazes out over the left fingers. With each inhale, feel your chest expanding, and exhale, sinking lower into that front leg. Take a moment, look down at your feet, see if your heel is lined up with your heel or heel is lined up with your arch. Those are both groovy, good. On your next inhale, flip the left hand to the sky, reach forward, up and back, coming to reverse warrior, like we're high-fiving the back wall. Inhale, notice your ribs expanding in this left side. Exhale, cartwheel the hands all the way down to frame the foot. Step back to plank, and let's flow in our final vinyasa of the class. Lower down, so make it a good one. Lower down, knees, chest, and then chin. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, press up and back, downward facing dog. Really good job, guys. Big inhale here. Exhale, let it go. Return to your Ujjayi breath. On your next inhale, rise up onto your toes. Bend your knees, look forward, step, or hop to the front of the mat. Release, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, sweep the arms up to the sky. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Now, the quiz for Laura, because she's been practicing with me for a while. What is my favorite balancing pose?
Oh gosh.
Might be yours too.
Tree?
Yes!
Good hint.
I was hinting at the Christmas tree.
I don't want to do dancer.
Dancer is one of my favorites, but a little much for a beginner class.
I do.
So I'm going to come forward. Do you want to come next to me?
Sure.
So you can face the camera? All right, coming to tree pose. You can stay wherever you want at home, obviously.
Better than mine.
Grippy, very grippy.
Yeah.
My mat's extra
It's
grippy.
also sticky though. Mine's sticky.
Yeah.
That's why I'm sweating.
I'm very sweaty too, but this mat absorbs the sweat. That's why it's nice and dry. It stays dry. So I'm definitely sweaty. Don't worry, guys. All right, so we're going to start with our right foot down. This is a balancing pose that I would say is one of the most common balancing poses. Like most yoga classes, you'll see tree pose. So this is why it's perfect for a beginner class. It is a little bit difficult, but it's a little easier than some other balancing poses like Warrior 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Or dancer.
Or dancer, especially. Yeah. All right. So hands are here in heart center. Take a few cleansing breaths, connecting with our Ujjayi breathing again. That's perfectly acceptable. All right. Blink open your eyes. All right. We're going to start with our right foot down. So go ahead, look down at your foot, lift your toes, and then spread them really wide, pressing evenly into the mat. Our weight is over our right leg now, so we can easily lift our left toes, up off the floor. So you have 3 choices for your leg placement. You can leave your toes on the floor, ankle, or your heel into your right ankle. You can lift your leg up to the inner calf, or you can bring your leg all the way up to the inner thigh. Now, wherever you're at is fine as long as you're not pressing against your knee. That's the only big rule for tree pose. So wherever you're at, find that still spot for your gaze. Remembering to breathe, reconnecting with the Ujjayi breathing here. Hands have this slight isometric engagement, pressing into one another, helping us with our balance, keeping our center of gravity a little bit more centered. In your next inhale, maybe start to reach your arms up to the sky, growing the branches. Maybe look up at your hands, look up at the ceiling. And if you wiggle, that's okay. Trees sway in the wind. Maybe for an extra challenge, try closing your eyes. That's really hard to balance. One more big inhale. Exhale, hands come down, leg comes down, and then shake it out, wiggling your legs, wiggling your arms, and coming into the other side. So we'll start with our left toes lifted, spread them wide, and then press evenly into the mat. Right foot can come up again to the ankle, calf, or inner thigh, never against the knee. And you might find that this side is easier to balance or harder to balance. Usually this side is harder for me, personally. Probably because I'm right side dominant, I guess. Although my husband thinks I'm left-footed because of how I kick a soccer ball.
You should have probably been left-handed.
Maybe I should have been left-handed. Who knows? Maybe I'm slightly ambidextrous. Who knows?
Maybe.
Wherever you're at, focusing on your breathing here. Notice your inhale and your exhale. Finding that still point with your gaze. Your next inhale, reach your arms up to the sky, growing your branches. If you wobble, if you fall, that's okay. Simply take a breath and come back. One more big inhale. Reach the arms up. Exhale, hands come down, leg comes down. Give it a wiggle. Wiggle out your legs and arms. And then return to the front of your mat. Get out of here. Just kidding.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, on your next inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, engage the core, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step back to plank. Exhale, press up and back, downward facing dog. Take a big inhale here. Exhale, let out a sigh. Big inhale. Exhale, let out a sigh. Returning to the Ujjayi breath here. Inhale, right leg up to the sky. Exhale, look forward, listen carefully. Draw your knee behind your right wrist. Come into our pigeon pose, or half pigeon. Release your left knee and foot to the earth. Maybe stretch them back a few inches, sinking low, bringing your hips nice and square to one another. Now, our pigeon pose is a really deep hip opening stretch. So this is great if you have tight hips, great if you sit a lot at a desk or driving, or on an airplane or whatever it might be. Our goal here eventually is to have our shin parallel with the front of the mat. But I don't want you to force it there because we can cause unnecessary strain in our knee. So notice if you have tightness in your knee, keeping your right toes flexed in strongly toward the shin helps protect your knee. And if you still feel tension there, draw your heel closer into the groin. Take a big inhale, reach your chest up to the front of the room. Exhale, slowly release down over the knee. Now you might be right here and think this is plenty deep, and that's totally cool. Stay right here, breathing into the sensation. And if you think, I'm not really feeling anything, maybe try hinging forward, resting on your elbows. Maybe you cross your arms and stack up your fists and let your head come down onto your fists.
And I should feel this through the back of my left leg, through the glute.
Your right glute.
leg.
Yes, exactly. So you should.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
I
So
didn't say arm.
Yeah, that's what I usually say. So you should, yeah, exactly. So you should be feeling this in your right glute, stretching deeply through your right glute.
Okay.
That's the focal point, and through the back of our right leg. So this is stretching our piriform, to get technical about where and why you're feeling it and why it's good to open the hips when it seems like we're pinching the hips.
Right.
So this is stretching our piriformis muscle, which runs across where the sciatic nerve is, through our pelvis, and it connects to the back top of the pelvis down to the front center of the pelvis. So it actually passes under or over, depending on the person, or through, depending on an unlucky person, our piriformis, or through the nerves there. So if this is too intense for you, you can also come back to your back, which I can demonstrate really quickly here. Right leg or left leg would be fully extended long, and you're here on your back. Cross the right heel over the knee, and then thread your arms through that keyhole, drawing the hips in. So this is that same type of stretch, but less strenuous. So a lot of times in yoga classes, you'll hear teachers offer coming to half pigeon. They'll say, or if you like pigeon on your back, come to your back. This is what they're talking about. Let's take one more breath here. Your next inhale, gently rise all the way up if you're not already upright. Sit back onto your right glute, and then just gently draw your left leg all the way up and around forward. So our left leg is extended long, right foot into our left inner thigh. Left leg out.
Okay.
Inhale, arms up to the sky. It's hard facing each other because I'm mirroring you. True. Exhale, forward fold over the legs. This is Janu Sirsasana, head to knee pose. So eventually you're wanting to work your forehead down toward your knee, but really listen to your body here. If you just kind of flop down in the stretch to meet that shape and you notice your leg is kind of seizing up, just gently back out of it slightly. Our muscles have this receptor, which I can never remember the name. You helped me study this, but I can't remember the name of it.
I don't remember.
But basically, it's an emergency panic receptor where when you move very quickly, it seizes up and causes your muscles to freeze almost because they want to protect you from getting injured, from moving too far too fast. So when you drop down into stretches very quickly or suddenly, your muscle seizes up, and that's when you can experience injuries. So it's really important when you're stretching to continue breathing nice and steady and deep. Finding that edge where you're feeling sensation, but you're definitely not feeling pain or strain. Breathing into it and asking your body to gently release down. Your next inhale, gently walk the hands up the leg. Go ahead and we're just going to should we twist back over or want to do something fancy? We're just going to do something very gentle. Bring your legs back, coming back to all fours. And say, well, how crazy are we feeling this morning?
Oddly, I don't like to sit over my ankles.
Oh, to roll over. Okay.
To
flip around. That's fine. Totally fine. All right, so tuck under the toes, press the hips up and back, coming back to downward facing dog. Take a big inhale here. And exhale. Inhale, left leg rises up. Exhale, look forward, draw the knee behind the wrist, coming to our half pigeon on the other side. Again, release the right leg down, fully onto the mat, maybe drawing the shin parallel, and then really checking in with your knee here. Keeping the toes flexed in strongly protects the knee. And if that's too strenuous, draw your heel in closer to the groin. And again, you can come onto your back, which now you know how to get there. Inhale, feel your chest reaching forward. You can stay right here, or if you need a deeper stretch, gently walking forward, maybe onto your elbows. Letting your forehead come down. Again, you're wanting to feel this in the back of your left glute, through the back of your hip, deeply opening our hips here. So the reason that when we stretch that piriformis muscle, the reason it is actually opening our hips and not closing it is because it's responsible for our hip flexion. So when it's tight, our hips are naturally more flexed, meaning like when we're sitting in a chair, that position, that our legs are not extended long compared to standing versus sitting. So when we're deeply stretching this muscle, it can release more fully to help you stand up straighter,
lower back,
help you have more range of motion when you're walking or running. Also helps with low back pain, interestingly enough, because of the connection with your pelvis and the placement and the rotation of your pelvis. When this muscle is nice and stretched out, your pelvis can rotate a little bit more easily. One more big inhale here. Gently begin to rise up to our full upright position. And go ahead and sit back on your left glute. Draw the right leg all the way up around. Right leg is extended. Left foot on the inside of our right thigh. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Exhale, fold over that leg. Again, moving nice and slow, breathing into finding that edge and then really breathing into it, noticing the sensations you're feeling in your body, and then honoring that, not pushing your body, not trying to force it to do anything. Remembering to breathe. Your next inhale, gently begin to walk your hands up your leg. This time we're just going to simply bring the bottoms of our feet onto the mat. Scoot forward slightly toward the heels, hands onto the front of the legs. Slowly roll all the way down to your back. Inhale, draw the knees into the chest, giving yourself a nice squeeze. Hold opposite hands, wrists, or elbows. Gentle rock back and forth, massaging your low back. A big inhale here. Maybe draw your forehead up to your knees. Exhale, unwind, unravel. Release your legs all the way down to the floor, coming to rest. In our final Shavasana, I think many people, this is their favorite pose because we get to just fully relax and release in the floor. I think for others, it can be very challenging to find stillness, to find release and peace as you're resting here. Maybe let out a little sigh. Let your eyes come closed, lips come closed. Draw your attention to the muscles in your face, to that spot right between your eyes, your third eye. It's our third eye chakra. And notice if your muscles are holding there or gripping there. As you exhale, ask them to simply let go. Notice your jaw unclench. Your shoulders are heavy in the floor, hips are heavy. Legs are nice and heavy and long. This concept of letting go can be difficult to grasp sometimes, because we're constantly in our world pushing and striving and working. Which is not in itself a bad thing, but when you don't have the balance of the other direction, of the release, of the rest, that's when we find it to be challenging. One of the most famous stories that you'll hear in yoga about letting go is the story of this monkey. And he's resting out on a balcony and he sees this jar and he can smell there's food inside the jar, this clay pot. So he can't quite see it, but he knows there's something there. And he reaches his hand down into the jar and it's this delicious, juicy apple. And he's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I found this apple. I'm so hungry. I'm so excited to eat this apple. Wraps his hand around the apple and begins to pull out his arm, but notices now his hand is too big with the apple to get out of the jar. And he's sitting there tugging at his hand and he can't get his hand out, and he starts to panic and he starts to breathe faster and faster and he's starting to shriek even, and he can't get the apple out, he can't get his hand out, and he's so desperate that now he's thinking, oh my gosh, now I'm trapped in this jar. But he forgets to realize that if he just let go of the apple, he could easily remove his hand from the jar. That's letting go. Letting go of the things that we don't need or no longer serve us, so we can be at peace. Your next inhale, begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing some awareness back into your body, noticing where your body ends and the floor begins. That can be a tricky one sometimes. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead in a big good morning stretch. Maybe have a big yawn. Draw the knees into the chest. Gently rock side to side. Keep your eyes closed here for as long as you can. Gently roll all the way over onto one side, resting for a moment in our fetal position. Notice how you feel in this position. Is it comforting? Is it uncomfortable maybe? Do you feel at ease? Your next inhale, use your hands to gently press yourself up to an upright position, keeping your eyes closed as long as you can here. Maybe come to our cross-legged seat if that's comfortable for you, or maybe onto your knees if that's comfortable. Wherever you're at, let your hands rest in your lap. Palms can be up or down, your choice. Taking a few more breaths here. Doing another little body scan, just like we did a few times, from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. Truly notice how your body's feeling. If you have any spots that feel differently now than when we started. Take a moment
to thank yourself for showing up to practice today. It's not always easy to cut out time for yourself. It's not always easy to prioritize yourself over all of your other obligations. But say thank you. Thank you for taking time to honor your body, honor your mind. Draw your hands up to our prayer position at our heart center. Blink open your eyes. Oh, I'm like glowing with the door, the light. And I feel angelic now that I've practiced yoga. That's my guarantee to you. You'll feel like an angel afterward. Only if you have backlighting.
Yeah.
All right. Good backlighting,
God, for that beautiful
Good backlighting, Ziki. All right. Taking one more moment. One more deep breath. And we always end our class with the phrase namaste. Now, if you're not familiar with namaste, or if maybe you've heard it, but you don't really know for sure what it means, you just know it's something that yoga people say. Namaste means all of the light and love that I see in myself, I also see and honor and appreciate that in you. So the light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for practicing with me today, Ashley. Thank you. So much fun to do it with you. Yay.
Videos are awesome too.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little more fun in person, but it's fun virtual too, especially when you're a beginner. You don't have the pressure of people watching you.
Yeah, it is really hard to be on here because in the privacy of my own living room, watching you and having you coach me live is really nice and helpful. But I'll do it for you.
Yay. Thanks, Mama. I always know I can count on you for support. All right, everyone. Thank you all for practicing with me today. Thank you for trusting me to guide you along your yoga journey. I will be so happy if you have anything to share, any feedback or information about the class. Contact me. You can message me. I don't know if you can message on YouTube. Maybe. I'm not sure. But you definitely can message me through my website, through email, also on Instagram, Facebook, all of the things, all of the forms of communication that we have nowadays. But I especially want to see you on our website. It's www.theyoginextdoor.net. And there you can for sure contact me in many different ways. And you can join us for classes coming up. So I hope to see you soon.
Try that free week.
Try the free week. It's our membership is $35 per month, but you get an entire 7 days for free to really give it a try. Make sure it's what you're looking for. Make sure it's what you want. And we have classes 6 out of 7 days. Yeah, 6 out of 7 days. Usually I take Sunday off fully.
But they're pre-recorded, so if you want to go Sunday too, go for it.
Exactly, and that's what I was just going to say.
Your second favorite class again.
As you have the full membership, you have access to all of our past recorded classes as well, including our vinyasa practice like we practiced today, as well as yin practice, which is like the energetic opposite of vinyasa. So today we're moving pretty quickly, one breath, one movement. Yin, you find your pose and then stay there. Oh, my hair tie's all the way over there. I'm like looking for my hair tie. Oh, thank you.
Almost a plank again.
Yeah, almost a bonus plank. Yeah. Oh, whoops! Oh, reach over there. No, I was kidding. But yin is, like I was saying, the yin is the energetic opposite of vinyasa. So whereas here we're moving one breath, one movement pretty much. In yin, you find a pose and then really release down and stay there for a few minutes each. So you're breathing deeply, and it's a great practice energetically at the end of the day to really release, slow down, get ready for bed, let go of anything that happened during the day, any anxieties or stress that happened during the day. And it's also great physically. It's great for people who practice yoga regularly and need to stretch deeply. But any athlete, actually, anyone who runs or whatever, cycles, walks, whatever it is you do for exercise, yin is great because you're getting a really deep stretch in your muscles, your connective tissues, your ligaments, tendons, and it's super relaxing.
Totally.
Helps me sleep really deeply every time.
I have to be careful not to fall asleep
Yeah.
during the last part.
And if you do,
I know, it's kind of nice.
no big deal.
Wait a minute.
Like you said, you're in the privacy of your own home.
Yeah, no one cares. If you let out a little snore.
They're not going to come nudge you and kick you out and say, hey, the next class is coming. You can sleep. You can let out a snore in your own living room. That's the benefit of yoga at home.
Yeah.
So yes, we're happy to see you all there and joining us for our classes. And until next time, thank you all for joining me. Again, I'm Ashley, the Yogi Next Door. This is Energy Flow Yoga. Beautiful new sweatshirt. Thank you. My
favorite Christmas present. And I hope to see you all next time. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. Happy Saturday. Hopefully you're still resting and relaxing after the busy holidays and letting yourself have a little more space for relaxation before you move on to your next week. Bye.